Hello everyone, my name is Michael J. Pineda, and I am a Honduran-American businessman, ambassador of the arts, and an aspiring global citizen. I'm currently on track to graduate in a little over a week now, and I am beyond excited to dive ahead into the personal and professional explorations that we all know and love as real life. I have more gratitude than I know what to do with, and I feel very blessed to have been a student at an institution that is filled with such genuine souls and unique opportunities. I would like to thank the Center for Diversity and Inclusion staff, Javon and Margot, for inviting me to this particular space filled with raw ideas and stories. This is a space of reflection, but it is also one of transparency. It is the commitment to these very spaces that will continue to push the frontiers of institutional change wherever it may occur. Today I have been asked to share my truth with you, and I'd like to make some contextual statements before I do that. First of all, my truth is a single human truth. It is not the sole truth of every student of color at Hope College, of every Latinx student, or of every international TCK student. I cannot speak for everyone. I can only try to empathize and listen to others with intent. This then allows me to stand in the gap for those who are marginalized and empower others to do the very same thing. If you have made any efforts to engage with the BIPOC and international communities on campus, this statement is not a foreign concept to you. If you have not done so, however, take my words as they are written, because this is indeed for you. Second, when I say Hope College throughout this address, I am not referring to a private Christian liberal arts institution, because you cannot hold a conversation with a brand or a socio-political entity. You can only talk to the people that are a part of it. So I am talking to you, people of Hope College. Lastly, any idea or statement written here is not expressed with malintent, but with a strong hope for improvement. If you feel offended by any of my ideas, or if you are not sure whether or not I am referring to you, then I most likely am. One of my professors, Dr. Jordan Van Hemert, told me once in private lessons that he saw a very high potential in me as a musician and as a person, and he would not let me play at any standard lower than the one that he saw within me. I write these words with the very same idea in mind. My actions and words never come from a place of anger or hate, but rather they come from a place of love. I implore you all to keep an open mind, to accept that there are more answers than questions, and to commit to making change in your own spaces. Now, I will begin with a little bit of background about myself. I was born physically and raised in Minnesota, where I lived for 12 years in various places and various spaces. My family relocated quite often due to the nature of my father's work, and it built a nomadic resilience that allowed me to shift in and out of communities, taking what I needed for survival and hoping I impacted those around me before departing. In 2012, my family relocated to Honduras, where we established ourselves permanently. And I said I was born physically in Honduras because I was born psychologically in Honduras. I'm actually just going to repeat that line. I know that it's not a consistent cut. And I said I was born physically in Minnesota because I was born psychologically in Honduras. My roots became very clear as they grew over my feet, and I began to understand where I was actually from. The thing about my home is that it burst bubbles around me that I didn't even know that I had. It humbled me, reminded me of my privilege, and gave me a reason to stand in the gap for my people. The harsh realities of the average Honduran citizen are complex and heartbreaking to grasp. And living there as a highly privileged individual gave me the motivation to do something about it. It is not a coincidence that I am the only U.S. citizen in my entire family, and my dual identities have pushed me to commit to the long-term goal of returning to Honduras and creating educational and developmental institutions to serve the communities and to strive towards a better future. Now, taking a step back, my transition from Honduras to Holland was shocking. The realities that I was faced with back home made many issues here in the U.S. and on campus appear to be very small to me. Back then, every day was a reminder of the decades of political corruption directly causing the plight of hundreds of people. It was a reminder of the gang violence, the extremely high femicide rates, and the silencing of activists and community leaders. Now, the most shocking memory that I have in Honduras is driving through the mountains late at night with my family and seeing a naked lady bound by the hands and feet walking alone alongside the road during a rainstorm. Visually, this was of course terrifying, but it was far worse mentally knowing that we genuinely could not stop to help because it was most likely a trap. Fast forwarding to 2017-2018 to my arrival at Hope College, This memory that I shared might allow you to understand why exactly I wasn't even fazed when someone mistook me for a Mexican, or didn't even notice when I was being excluded by my peers or dismissed in my class because I was a Latino. Quite opposite, in fact, I was humored by the ignorance of my peers, and it gave me a glimpse into the bubble that I believe a lot of students and faculty here live in. I realized that not every student, however, was as unfazed as I was, and as I let empathy lead my decisions, I had to lower my tolerance in order to see eye to eye with my community and choose the best way to serve them. When I only chose the world to see through my own lens, I disconnected from the very important aspects of the domestic, BIPOC, and international student and faculty experience. I never really felt like I belonged to any of the MSOs, the multicultural student organizations, because my cultural identities were defined much differently than theirs, but I have been inspired and amazed by the student leaders that have run these organizations in my time here. I remembered, though, that they are not paid employees, and they should not be doing all of the work towards fixing and bettering the institution or holding the other 82% of campus accountable. This job does belong to Hope College. I have learned from student and faculty leaders about how it feels to tell your story countless times, but to have no one really hearing it. Naturally, they become louder in order to be heard, and their voices become coarse from overuse. I've heard several student leaders tell me that they are giving up trying to fight back against different policies or administration in their own spaces, and it is tragic to say the least. I should warn that if you do not want to lose some of the most amazing and impactful leaders and mentors that this campus has to offer, start listening to them more intently, because they are human and they are bound to hit a breaking point. I've seen empty blanket statements on accountability and diversity that are rarely tied to relevant action, and I believe these all stem from a cross-campus lack of intentionality to fixing these issues, not a lack of understanding about how to fix them, and deep down I believe that everybody here is aware of this. I'm going to graduate from Hope College with a degree in business and a jazz studies minor. I want to thank the professors who withstood my wrath of 1,000 questions and the 30 minutes to an hour extra when I would keep them hostage after class to ask even more. From day one, I was able to build marvelous connections here on campus with members of the Hope community that honestly just changed my life. They were always looking for ways to support me, to check in, and to make sure that I was moving in the right direction. Through programs like the Phelps Scholars, I was able to push the limits of what I thought possible and unpack my international experience and identity in a safe space. From each of these programs, I also gained mentors and advisors who answered life's questions and created new ones for me to explore. During my 4 years, I strived to be a leader and engage with as many places as possible. My involvement with the Hope College concert series and all of the musical ensembles and classes were crucial to my musical learning experience and my leadership development, which is very important to me. I was exposed to various companies and networks through the Business Club and Baker Scholars in the Business and Economics Department, and they prepared me for being intentional about my career. Study abroad was, of course, an incredible opportunity that really showed me what it meant to be a global citizen and challenged all of my previous assumptions and biases. The projects and organizations with the dance department, TEDx Hope College, and Greek Life, to mention a few, also gave me the tools to use my creativity and to be myself. Now, although doing so many things helped me up to a certain point, I did fall victim to the yes culture that exists at Hope College. I overcommitted semester after semester because there were so many cool things to do and so many people to impact. However, I do regret this because it did not allow me to dive deeper into other and more important things. A personal statement from my experience is that I believe that the yes culture at Hope College should be challenged and ultimately dismantled because it brings us back to the idea of intentionality. When we have too many things on our plate, we reach stress levels that keep us from being genuine and highly energized in order to fulfill the commitments rather than making an impact. The best way to underserve 10 organizations, in my opinion, is not by not serving them at all, but by serving all 10 of them at the same time. Saying yes to many opportunities at Hope, just like I did, was the student leadership equivalent of the, "Hey, how are you? Good," followed by both students continuing to walk past each other in opposite directions. I advise to commit to 2 to 3 things that you are very passionate about and to stick with them. That is the best way to bring about change and impact. I know I said that I am a business major, but I consider myself as an honorary double major with the amount I spent developing myself, practicing, and existential crisising in the Jack H. Miller Center for the Arts. It is my home on this campus despite the tensions that exist within those walls. Something I have noted is that there are times where internal politics and bureaucracy at higher administrative levels are prioritized over fulfilling and nurturing student and faculty needs, and this was the case at one point within the music department. This statement has been in my brain and also in and out of my ears more times than I can count, but those who are being impacted by the above-mentioned tensions feel two things at this point: fear and exhaustion. I came to Hope College based on the sole decision of financial aid, and I could only accept an offer my family could afford. I can say that there were times where I did not want my voice to concern opinions or concerns out of fear that it could put my being here at Hope College at risk. Many student leaders, especially those of color and international students, have told me this very same idea, and I have felt substantial growth at this institution throughout the classes, through the people, and through the countless things that I have done to develop myself, and I did not want to put that at risk. The exhaustion is the very same that I had mentioned in the paragraphs earlier. Now, there are presentations and dialogues on campus where some of my observations have been explored, but I have noticed some troubling things. During many of the meaningful dialogues that were held on this campus, I noticed time and time again that those who would have most benefited from the experience of being there were rarely ever in the room. As a fatigued choir listened to the preachings that they could recite from memory, even in the absence of a common tongue, I would hear the same voices hyping up their fellow peers with cheers of encouragement when a strong and relatable point was made. Strangely enough, I was looking forward to hearing the sound of silence, because only in silence can we hear real comprehension. In silence, we can hear all of the glass ceilings shattering along with the stereotypes, the preconceived notions, and misguided assumptions. In silence, we can hear the efforts of dozens of human civilizations trying to make amends after years of war, slavery, and repression. I was waiting to hear this moment of silence that confirmed that our stories had settled into the hearts and the minds of the majority who genuinely needed to hear them, and that they were listening to us with the intent to understand and not reply, but I never heard it. I only heard oversimplified regurgitations of some of the vocabulary used, and I only saw a reframing of our ideas, but rarely did I feel a campus-wide commitment to action. Only on an individual level did I see this intent. However, the platforms that sustain those powerful dialogues somehow dissipate into the fine print, overshadowed by movie nights and donut runs. See, this concept is very tricky, because real action doesn't happen with the posting of anti-racist statements or slaps on the wrist. Real action happens when we can incept the spaces in which we are the most comfortable with ideas that embody our commitment to change. This happens in the classrooms and in the staff meetings, in the basements of dorms, and at our churches. Keep this idea in mind when evaluating your own intentionality and relationships on campus. Throughout my 4 years here, I've realized that my passion and commitment to learning revolves around a curious and creative philosophy. Learning is what allows me to expand my horizons and move towards a state of enlightenment that will help me to serve my communities better and find fulfillment in the little things in life. Learning is also what helps me analyze and act against things that I believe are incorrect and harmful to myself or to others. I would not trade my time at Hope College for anything in the world, because I am very proud of who I am today and what I have accomplished by being here. Michael Pineda in 2021 is a substantially different human being than Michael Pineda in 2017. Michael Pineda in 2017 also did not have the understanding to be able to draft this general and attainable goal for Hope College, which I believe could bring much needed transformation to this culture, and the goal reads as follows. I challenge the people of Hope College to revise and reevaluate their moral ecology, or as defined by the thought leader David Brooks, a set of norms, assumptions, beliefs, and habits of behavior, and an institutionalized set of moral demands that emerge organically. Brooks states that our moral ecologies encourage us to be a certain kind of person, and I challenge the people of Hope College to ask themselves, what kind of people does this community, these systems, and the experiences gained here are encouraging to be? I have grown and have been challenged by my own moral ecologies, but I've wanted to make sure that I mentioned what I hope to be my largest contribution to the Hope College community, as I believe it strongly emanates my truth. This contribution will be the Hope for All initiative, which started over a simple conversation with Dr. Sonia Trent Brown about the current reporting procedures and data that is available to piece together the voices of our student body. Hope for All is a student-led, student-driven reporting resource on campus that is oriented towards 3 main pillars: data, advocacy, and resources. Hope for All will collect and create quantitative data about the campus climate with regards to discrimination and harassment of any kind, and will make this data available to the Hope College community to use in their own initiatives. Hope College will also utilize an advocate pool filled with campus leaders nominated by students to be on the front lines of victim advocacy and support, creating a culture and a standard that every student who experiences something on this campus will be tended to, heard, and supported. Lastly, Hope for All will include a pool of written and audio-visual resources that will condense the lengthy and dense Hope College policies around Title IX and discrimination and harassment and make it more digestible for younger students. The goal is to incorporate Hope for All initiatives into next year's freshman welcoming procedures and maintain the program for as long as the institution stands. Thank you to all of those who have supported this project, and I am thrilled to see where it takes you. I will now conclude this address with what I believe Hope College can do to begin to take steps towards my actionable goal by considering the following 3 ideas and respective stories. Number 1, commit to revising the current recruitment practices on the administrative level and also on the level of student leadership. Incorporate a focus of cultural competence and global leadership as opposed to pedigrees, connections, or resumes. I can count on one hand the professors that address the shocking reality of the hate-fueled domestic terrorism in Atlanta or the killings of African Americans by police officers before diving into the class content for the day. To take a moment to honor those who fall victims to hate crimes is an acknowledgement of the reality that our neighbors face. But if situations like these that visibly impact students in all classrooms do not gain priority, it tells us a lot about those who are shaping our current education system here at Hope College. I've also seen small numbers of leaders in Student Congress, Student Activities Committee, and many other influential student organizations engaged with BIPOC communities, present at cross-cultural events, or being intentional about developing relationships and understanding the importance of our spaces on campus. There is no way to force anyone who does not already care to care, and hoping leaders will engage with these dimensions is a lost cause if they have not done it already. The best way to address this is preemptively by inducting and hiring those who already show high levels of cultural competence and intentionality so that they may plant the seeds through which the rest of the members of these organizations may grow. Number 2, commit to revising the current curriculums and educational materials used in any class to ensure a variety of perspectives and representations when it comes to our educational experience. This is not exclusive to classes about the BIPOC and international experience or its history, and is relevant to speakers, guests, musical artists, etc. An astonishing portion of the articles and textbooks used throughout my 4 years at Hope College were written by white males, and ironically these authors are usually the experts we turn to in regards to cultural and global interactions. It is crucial to reevaluate credibility and invest in a deeper understanding of education from those who have lived and experienced rather than those who have only theorized or learned about. I believe this specifically applies to the GLD and GLI courses at Hope College. During a conversation with a student leader surrounding which professionals a group of students should meet with, I was told, "I do not think we should look for people of color just because they are people of color. I think we should look for people who really have something to offer us." Now, this was not the first time I had heard a statement like this, and I have encountered many other box checkers who prove a lack of understanding and fundamentals about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which leads to the same comfortable network for Hope students to engage with. The best way to address this is to compare and contrast Hope College curriculums with other educational institutions and to observe different approaches to these aspects of our learning and teaching, as well as to find and facilitate a larger and more diverse network of professionals for Hope students to engage with. Number 3, and finally, commit to further supporting and creating opportunities for the expansion of the Center for Global Engagement, because it is the forefront of the very mission of Hope College to educate students for lives of leadership and service in a global society. The most memorable moment for me at Hope College was international orientation, where I got to connect with the CGE team for the first time. Amy, Kendra, Habib, Jasmine, Gabi, and Xavier, and the rest of the international student class of 2021. From the moment they received us in 2017 to the moment I received my diploma, I serve as a witness to the global leaders that this small group of faculty and staff churn out through the relationships that they build, the classes that they teach, and the study abroad program, one of Hope's best facets. I have not, however, served as a witness to any kind of intentional development efforts for the CGE, whether that be in space, staffing, or extra resources. Space is a very important thing, and the Keppel House has served the CDI and students thrive significantly. However, it goes to show how little attention was being given to the needs of that important pillar on campus in the first place with regards to its growth and for the well-being of students who are positively impacted by it. The same can be said about the CGE, who does not have any visible spaces on campus apart from the Martha Miller. When seeking to expand global leadership on campus, observe those and help those who have paved the way for many before them. The best way to address this is to assess the needs of the CGE and allocate more resources, whether that be laboral, financial, or structural, to grow and thrive this institution on campus, not just having them on campus. I hope that these ideas can be challenged, adopted, reimagined, and executed for the betterment of my alma mater, Hope College. Thank you all for all that you have given me, and my only hope is that these ideas will inspire you to do better, be better, and strive towards being the global leaders that I know Hope College can create. Thank you very much.